and tomorrow is the weather. It is very, very hot. Highs are ranging in the 90s. It was already getting there by yesterday afternoon in Jackson. They're going to be combined with a humid air mass, and it's going to make it feel much hotter. The heat indices are going to be above 100 degree in some locations. That's why we have set up cooling centers in each of these areas. If we could go ahead and put up those locations. And while we're getting those up, we're tracking the possibility for additional thunderstorms on Thursday. Though right now, I don't think that there is an expectation that that would be severe rain, but we are always concerned about weather at times like this. So these are cooling centers. Very proud of emergency management, local and state, to get these up before the heat hit. These are up and operational in each of the counties. If you don't have power, if you don't have a cool place to be, today and tomorrow is going to get really hot for our seniors, for those with medical conditions, really for everybody. Make sure you take care of yourself. We've already lost at least 37 Kentuckians. We don't want to lose any to what is going to be vicious heat. So Breathitt, Floyd, Johnson, Knott, Letcher, Perry, Pike, Wolf, all have cooling centers that are open right now. Missing persons. So it is very hard to have an accurate number of unaccounted for individuals. So the number that I'm going to read you is reports into the KSP posts. Following up on those, how many people are left missing, and there be enough concern for a missing person investigation. And that number is 3 right now. Again, we're very concerned for those 3 people. All 3 are females in Breathitt County, but the number doesn't take into account other reporting to local agencies. And we know that there are more folks out there, though, with cell service. Definitely have found a lot more people. Thank you to the Kentucky State Police. Over 1,000 wellness checks, and most of them went incredibly well, which is what we all were praying for. Over 1,300 rescues between the Kentucky National Guard, Tennessee National Guard, West Virginia National Guard. Actually, our National Guard airlifted 2 people that had fevers that were otherwise unreachable just yesterday. They did it in between the time that we left the airport and got back. They had airlifted water earlier that morning. They're doing a phenomenal job, and I'm proud of them. Kentucky State Police have assisted in over 600 water rescues. Fish and Wildlife, over 130 water rescues. National Guard has also now distributed over 2,400 cases of water. Actually, we have an exact 2,404 as of 8 a.m. this morning, but I guarantee you there's a lot more because we're moving water as fast as we can. 65 cases of MREs, those are meals ready to eat, have also gone to the affected counties. And listen, there are nonprofits and religious affiliated disaster recovery groups pouring into these areas, making sure people have enough to eat. Our schools are feeding thousands of people every day. Currently have 400 National Guardsmen and women currently supporting the mission. We have a total of 219 people temporarily housed in our state parks, another 221 in shelters, for a total of 440. Displaced individuals, that is only a fraction of the overall number of displaced people. Most are with friends or with family because that's what we do as Kentuckians. Jenny Wiley has 147 people occupying rooms, cottages, and campgrounds. The rooms are fully booked, but the campground space is available. As you'll hear in a minute, we're putting a lot of travel trailers up. There are flooding issues at Jenny Wiley right now, not in people's rooms. We're using a boat to get people to the lodge and back, but we're on top of that. We're housing people even though we're still getting some of the utilities fully up online. 4 people are staying in one camper at the Paintsville State Park Campground. Pine Mountain has 2 folks. There are still 5 rooms available. Buckhorn Lake State Resort Park shows you what we can do in response to these disasters. It is in one of the hardest hit areas, yet it is up and operational. We couldn't get there for a couple of days. When we could get there, no power, no water. Thank you to Kentucky Power. Thank you to our Division of Water for moving heaven and earth. And thank you to AT&T for getting not only cell service, but Wi-Fi. And I don't think we had Wi-Fi at Buckhorn before this. Currently, 55 people occupying rooms. There are 20 rooms and 2 cottages available. There are a lot of displaced folks in this area. So there are running water, power, internet. Pretty amazing. And today, we have a way for folks to register for travel trailers. We have 25 at Jenny Wiley State Park, 25 at Mine Made in Knott County, 9 are at Carr Creek in Knott County. Jenny Wiley is in Floyd County. We're working to get travel trailers in other areas. We have 100 total that we are moving into Eastern Kentucky. We have a registration page for those that are looking for travel trailers linked on our flood resources page, and we've provided flyers to FEMA disaster recovery centers and the Red Cross. So those that can't get online are going to have other opportunities. Information packets can also be found at centers and shelters and on our flood resource page. The Eastern Kentucky Sheltering Program is available to survivors whose homes were majorly damaged, destroyed, or deemed not habitable in the 7 counties designated for FEMA individual assistance. So as of today, Breathitt, Clay, Floyd, Knott, Letcher, Perry, and Pike counties have all qualified for individual assistance. That's the fastest we've ever seen it granted. Program eligibility to be in one of these travel trailers requires that folks register with FEMA at disasterassistance.gov. So this is online. The way that we are going to be able to check on folks looking for travel trailers is up. We look forward to getting folks in them and to getting folks a little more stable where they'll know where they can be for the months even to come. We talked about the cooling stations earlier. 8 put up. We actually got in front of the weather, which I hope feels good to the people in these communities when the flooding coming at night. One of the reasons it was so deadly. I actually just had 2 folks from Dawson Springs stop by with an amazing picture of the first bus route when school came back online. They reminded me of the tornadoes hit at night too. 10 emergency shelters we talked about. They have 221 people. There are 2 in Letcher, 1 in Perry, 1 in Clay, 1 in Wolf, 1 in Floyd. There are 3 in Perry, 1 in Knott, and 1 in Leslie. You can find all of those. They're on the screen right here, again, on our website. Let's talk about FEMA. Originally, FEMA had agreed that 5 counties qualified for individual assistance. We asked for more, and we will continue to ask for more. Yesterday, it was approved for Floyd and Pike County. So currently, renters and homeowners in Breathitt, Clay, Floyd, Knott, Letcher, Perry, and Pike who are affected by the severe storms, flooding, and mudslides can apply a number of ways. You can do it online, disasterassistance.gov. You can call the phone number, 1-800-621-FEMA, 1-800-621-3362. When applying for assistance, you need to have all your information, including the current number you can be reached, the address, where you are living, where the damage occurred, the address that you are right now, information on your losses, banking information, and any insurance information. But we also have set FEMA centers open and talking to people and helping with claims in the first 5 counties. I know they're working to get them up in the other 2. So if we can put up the FEMA locations in Breathitt County, it is 421 Jet Drive. In Jackson and Clay County, it's their community center. In Knott County, it's their sportsplex. Letcher County, it's their rec center. Perry County, it's at Hazard Community and Technical College, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I would strongly encourage people, because this is a tougher process than it should be, to actually go in and talk to someone. We have been promised mobile folks on the ground as well that will be going neighborhood to neighborhood in the near future to document people's losses. Overall, federal disaster declaration signed by President Biden on July 29th. 14 counties and 3 cities have declared states of emergency. How about some good news? The power outages have almost been cut in half from yesterday. That's great, especially with how hot it's gotten. In the affected area, now 5,068 without power. In Breathitt, 1,460, and Knott, 1,068. In Perry, 2,268. In Floyd, just 9 people, 9 hookups at the moment. In Letcher, 263. No new numbers on water outages, still just over 18,000 service connections without water, 45,600-ish service connections under boiled water advisory, 21 water systems under limited operation due to power outages and storm damage, wastewater system, 1 system not operational, that's in Hazard, 17 wastewater systems under limited operation, 3 wastewater plants experiencing bypass, 13 systems have discharges from portions of their collection center systems. When we look at infrastructure, and we look at the massive damage here, roads, bridges just eaten away. And we'll mention bridges in a minute, but the water systems heavily damaged, some wiped out, and it's going to take significant time and significant dollars to restore what was destroyed. Real significant damage to water and wastewater systems, and that's why if you are looking to bring goods to the area, water is the number 1 thing. Cleaning supplies would be the number 2 thing. We're also trying to transport not drinking water, but water that can be used in our hospitals for showers and in our medical clinics. That's going on at the same time. I've been asked by folks, is it just bottled water or jugs of water? They'll take any water in any way. For some, the jugs are helpful because families can take that home. Sometimes you can pack more into a car. Transportation Cabinet is continuing to inspect bridges. There are nearly 1,100 inventoried bridges in the region. 84% of them have been inspected. 21 bridges that have been checked are still impassable. 4 are state bridges, 17 are county bridges. County roads, transportation crews have pretty much gotten the state roads clear. They're helping on the county roads, and crews have come as far away from the Paducah Highway District. Debris removal, we're in this process right now. You have to have a site that we have approval on to take debris. Obviously, before you can engage in widespread debris removal, quotes have gone out, requests for quotes have gone out to dozens of potential vendors for debris removal. The Cabinet's coordinating on this with the Division of Emergency Management and the Army Corps of Engineers. I think we're going to get an estimate of the amount of debris from the Army Corps here in the next several days. I believe it's maybe Friday. It's going to be enormous, but we are on top of the process that's necessary for debris removal. And once we have the private contractors, you will see the pace pick up significantly. We've learned lessons from the West. We think we know how to best do it. Once folks are under contract, you will see a major change. Transportation continues to deliver supplies, especially water. They're also delivering equipment, including dump trucks and storage trailers. Replacing licenses, titles, and registrations. Mobile pop-up driver's licensing services will be set up to issue replacement driver's license, permits, and state ID cards for flood victims that are sheltering at Jenny Wiley, Pine Mountain, and Buckhorn state parks. These are one-day visits. Friday, it's going to be at Jenny Wiley. So if you're at Jenny Wiley and you're missing any of these documents, Friday they're going to be there. Monday at Pine Mountain, Tuesday at Buckhorn. They're going to be open 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. No appointments are needed. Just walk in. There's no charge for any of these replacements. I signed an EO on that for the 13 counties covered by the federal disaster declaration. So this is a wider area than just the ones that are getting individual assistance. Nor is there any charge for replacing titles or registrations for motor vehicles, boats, mobile homes, or ATVs. We'll get those dates and times up on social. It'll get out in our release, and we'll go over it again tomorrow. One evacuation that we hadn't talked about to date because we were successful in a portion of Jackson and then several nursing homes was the Letcher County Jail. Department of Corrections quickly stepped up to help that jail. It is in a basement, and nobody wanted to risk what could have happened there. Due to their experiencing of flooding and a lack of running water, Department of Corrections offered to transport more than 100 inmates from their facility to state prisons. Male inmates were transferred to the Eastern Kentucky Correctional Complex. Female inmates transferred to the Kentucky Correctional Institution for Women. So proud that we were able to get that done, to be proactive, to make sure those folks weren't in danger. Recap of state legal actions. The emergency order declaring the emergency. The emergency order implementing the price gouging prohibition. The emergency order implementing emergency dispensing of pharmaceuticals. We're already seeing that in action, people getting the medicine they need. Transportation, waiving weight and hour limits on trucks so we can get more supplies there faster. Executive order suspending the UI work search and 7-day waiting period requirements. We hope to have information up in the next 24 hours on where unemployment will be. We hope that they are at all the FEMA centers. We're working on one location for all these things, knowing that people need the help. I signed a directive allowing out-of-state electrician licensees to perform work in the affected areas. Today, I did that for HVAC and plumbing as well. That's going to bring more people into the area that can help. Directive allowing a 14-day grace period for electric inspections. We created the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund. Talk about that in a moment. Have requested additional individual assistance for Leslie, McGoffin, Martin, and Owsley. Suspended fees for duplicate driver's license, permits, motor vehicle registrations, and titles. We did a request for FEMA for individual assistance to add Wolfe County to that list as well. So what I mentioned before is a directive to allow HVAC mechanics and plumbers with out-of-state licenses and that are in good standing to perform volunteer work in the area. Just signed an EO suspending statute that deals with carcasses of domestic livestock and poultry. We had to do that in the West too, as folks work to clean up and clean up fast. It applies to all of the counties under the federal disaster declaration. Team Kentucky Flood Relief Fund. Again, this is, I think, the only fully transparent fund that is audited, that will be subject to legislative oversight. As of today, 21,692 donations, a little over $3 million in it. We are taking zero administrative fees. Every single dime is going to go to these families. The first expenditures from the fund are going to go out, I believe, today. And those are 11 funeral payments for loved ones lost in this flooding. They're going to cover the entire funeral. That's what the funeral homes agree to. No one has to apply. We contact them and the funeral home directly. Nobody has to seek reimbursement for anything. The least we can do is grieve together, and 7 days out, these funerals are about to start. So make sure you're reaching out to your loved ones in the region. If you're in the region, make sure you're leaning on each other. A lot of the grief that we've suppressed these last 7 days, trying to get the mud out and take care of each other when it rained again or it's so hot, that's going to come to the surface. If you need help, ask for it. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. I don't think our brains or our hearts are designed to deal with trauma and loss at this level. Again, you can help by donating to this fund. Team EKY floodrelieffund.ky.gov. Every dollar helps. Want to get one note out there. One of the most devastating parts of this flood is that most people's homes are not going to be covered by insurance. A lot of people don't have insurance. Most people don't have flood insurance. It's really expensive. And it's going to be a real challenge in the rebuilding side. But comprehensive auto insurance does cover flood damage. I think this is important because I think a lot of people may assume incorrectly that if they're concerned about insurance for their home, that they also won't have it for their car, and their vehicles strewn all over the place. So folks are going to need transportation, especially in this region. You have to have transportation. So people with comprehensive coverage should contact their insurance agent to file a claim. Again, that's if you have comprehensive coverage. Not everybody has that, but you should check on what type of insurance that you bought and at least follow through on your vehicle to see if you're covered. Kentucky Department of Revenue. This is some new news. Is going to honor the recently announced IRS special tax relief for taxpayers in any area designated by FEMA as qualifying for individual assistance due to flooding. What this does is push back the deadline by which you would have to file your returns. You know, a lot of people, especially those that get W-2, file one return, but in April of each year. But a lot of other people may file quarterly. Some may have had an extension already. So if you are in Breathitt, Clay, Floyd, this list is actually a little bit longer. If you are in the 7 counties that qualify for IA, and we'll go back to see if that might also apply to all in the federal disaster declaration, you'll have until November 15th, 2022 to file tax returns for individual income tax, corporate income tax, because there are a whole bunch of businesses wiped out, and limited liability income tax. Estimated income tax payments due on September 15th, 2022. Again, that's if you pay quarterly, if you're self-employed, if you're running a business. You're allowed an extension until, if it was due in September 15th, it won't be due until November 15th. Payroll withholding filings and payments due between July 26th and November 15th are also eligible for the extension to November 15th. Late filing and payment penalties will be waived for those affected taxpayers seeking relief based on this event. Taxpayers should label the top margin of the tax forms filed under this relief provision in large red letters with the word Kentucky Flood Relief. Getting mental health services out and available to folks. The Department for Behavioral Health, Developmental, and Intellectual Disabilities has 4 teams of crisis counselors. They're at the Knott County Sportsplex. I was there 3 days ago, helping a lot of people. That's where people are coming in. That's where FEMA is. That's where they can get help. That's where they can get water. They're also at the Hindman Settlement School, Perry County Shelters, Jenny Wiley State Park, and Wolfe County Shelters. They're on standby to be of help to search and rescue responders as well. Department's available to provide services to adults and youth. Staff delivered 121 boxes of Cloxaldo and 100 units of Narcan to Community Mental Health Center quick response teams and 50 to the Floyd County Health Department. Narcan's being distributed to the shelters too. Also working on SNAP replacement for those that were on food assistance that have lost their cards. We issued 328 supplemental nutrition assistance program replacements. We're working to get a waiver so people can get hot meals too. Total replacements this week, 553. Remember, we announced yesterday sales tax refunds that people can qualify for on their rebuilding. So the 7 counties now included in individual assistance. You can request a refund of the sales and use tax you pay on the purchase of building equipment to repair from this disaster. The limit is $6,000. in tax per building. You have 3 years from the date of the disaster to submit the refund claim to the Kentucky Department of Revenue. You need to keep your receipts. You need to document it. Today, we're getting that information out, not just to shelters. We're going to go to any hardware store that's open too in the region and make sure we've posted this. We need to get this information to people, because if ultimately they can get $6,000 back in rebuilding, we want to make sure they get every single penny of it. Also new today, the U.S. Small Business Association, that's what we call the SBA, announced that Floyd and Pike counties are now included as primary counties in the disaster declaration in eastern Kentucky, and that SBA will open 3 business recovery centers this week. One center opens in Perry County Wednesday, August 3rd, and then in Clay and Letcher counties on Thursday, August 4th. This is a one-on-one assistance for for businesses that have been impacted. That's who the SBA helps. And they're going to give one-on-one help to those that would submit a disaster loan application that's related to this flooding. The disaster declaration covers all 7 counties, which were eligible for individual assistance as well as the physical and economic injury, as long as public assistance, And those counties are eligible for both physical and economic injury disaster loans from the SBA. Small businesses and most nonprofits in the adjacent counties are also eligible, but only for economic injury disaster loans. So counties that can do that are Bell, Harlan, Jackson, Johnson, Knox, Laurel, Lee, Leslie, Magoffin, Martin, Owsley, and Wolf. In Kentucky, they approved 3 in Virginia and 1 in West Virginia. So again, up on the screen is where the SBA is opening their first 3 locations. I'm glad that they are physically on the ground. They'll be opening more locations as it goes. The first one opens Wednesday, and the next 2 open Thursday. And the SBA also encourages everybody who is coming to these facilities to wear a mask. I'd request that you honor that. Due to COVID-19, they don't want to lose the people they have on the ground that could prevent or delay the services that you get. So please, if you're willing to do that, that means the person behind you and the person behind them and the person coming in the days after that are going to have somebody they can talk to as well. Beginning yesterday morning, I directed that all flags at all state office buildings be lowered to half staff for the week. So it began on Tuesday, August 2nd, and it's going to remain until sundown on Monday, August 8th. I continue to encourage everybody out there that hoists a flag to put it down to half staff, to recognize those lost, to grieve with their families, and in recognition of so many that have lost so much. We're also lighting the Governor's Mansion green. It's the color of compassion. We did it for each other for more than a year in the height of the pandemic. Let's do it for the people of Eastern Kentucky right now. All right, with that, we'll open it up to questions. We've got 2 reporters in person and 4 virtually. So, Carolina.
Governor, when it comes to the water infrastructure damage, can you elaborate a little more on the significance of that? Are we talking about people potentially being without water access for weeks, for months?
Yes. So the damage varies significantly. First, a whole lot of it's back up, which is a miracle and a huge credit to the water folks in each of these communities. It is amazing how quickly much of Letcher got their water back. Just incredible. And let me say that for power, too. People are working incredibly hard. It ranges from a key part of the infrastructure being flooded and having to go in and repair it. That's in Hazard. But then you go up to Buckhorn, and some of it's just wiped out. I mean, the pipes, everything gone. And so it's going to range. Some may get it in days. Some may get it in weeks. And some areas it may even be months. until we are able to fully repair that infrastructure. It's going to be important that we do a fund similar to the SAFE Act fund in Western Kentucky so that we as state government can help with those costs, because otherwise they're going to go to ratepayers. So people who just lost everything that are rebuilding would have their water rates just skyrocket in what it would cost. But we're going to be, we got water crews from all over the state coming in. You know, the water crew from the city of Marion was about ready to dispatch to help in Eastern Kentucky, and they're still under an emergency themselves. Pretty special. But we're going to be giving updates on water for months to come. Anna?
Yes, Governor. Question about public health. You already mentioned
Yeah.
how the SBA is asking that people wear masks when they come into their support centers. Have there been, processes in place in the affected counties to make sure that people are being able to get Tdap vaccinations?
Yeah.
Kind of essential when you're dealing with water.
Tetanus shots.
Origin.
Yeah. We have both public health and a ton of clinics, pharmacists, et cetera, in these areas working really hard. We're working to supply a lot of them with water right now so that they can continue their good work. Just talked to my friend who runs primary care center in Hazard about what their needs are, and we're going to get them met. I saw a couple the other day. They were driving out of a Floyd County area, really hard hit. I was talking to them. They said, we lost it all, but we're blessed we're here, and we're going to get our tetanus shot. So people need to take care of themselves during this. They need to get vaccinated for a lot of things, and including COVID if they're not, because being in a congregate shelter. But very proud of our health departments, very proud of our nurses and others that are out there. I ran into so many nurses that were, off. They'd worked, they'd gotten off, and they went to one of the shelters, and they were sorting clothes if that's the thing that was there to do. They and our educators out in force like they always are. All right, now we'll go to the other LATEC. Tom.
Thank you, Governor. And hi, Anna. How you doing? As you've mentioned here several occasions during this, disasters like this bring out the best in people, but it also brings out the worst. So I was wondering if you'd had any count on looting and scams that have been perpetrated during this.
Don't have a specific count, but I can say that Kentucky State Police, working with the National Guard, as well as local authorities, significantly increased their presence, and we believe has had a significant impact and therefore a reduction on looting. To loot, to steal, and to take from people who've lost everything is the worst of humanity. And it's hard to believe that someone would be or go so low as to do that. The same scamming. These folks don't have any money, and to take what little they do is horrendous. We will not allow it. Law enforcement will catch and prosecute any looters to the fullest extent of the law. And listen, if you know our state and our folks, maybe you're lucky if it's the law enforcement that finds you, if you're willing to stoop that low. Karen Czar.
Good afternoon, Governor, and thank you, Virginia. Governor, you brought up several times over the last several days about mental health, and I know being down there, we've seen all the assistance with the therapy dogs, the people, the professionals that people can talk with, but that's great while this is happening, but what's the plan moving forward, say a month from now, 6 months from now, to make sure these people can have, can help themselves? Thank you.
It's an important need we're going to have to fill, and the answer is we're working on it. We still got people in congregate shelters. We still have some folks that, because their private bridge to their property was wiped out, are stranded. We're still very much in the let's find everybody. Let's get a roof over their head. Let's get them the meals that they need. Having to airlift two people with fevers from yesterday shows you just where we are. So our goal right now is to have mental health resources in each of the major places where people are, to also talk about it, to reduce or eliminate any stigma, to make sure our first responders, especially those that are finding bodies, are able to talk to somebody too, that we look out after them while they're looking out after us. I know moving forward, schools will be one area that we can focus on. That was one of the major things we did after the tornadoes, but you're right, there's going to need to be a comprehensive community-wide plan. Admittedly, we're still looking for everybody, trying to take care of them right now. But as we are looking at recovery, that'll be an ongoing mission. John Cheeves.
Thank you, Governor. You had mentioned the state of Kentucky helping with the local water districts to rebuild so that local ratepayers don't face, ridiculous expenses going down the road. The state of Kentucky, as you know, we have a $2.7 billion rainy day fund. Has there been any thought of bringing in the legislature into a special session in the next month, 2 months, for the sole purpose of having a relief package for Eastern Kentucky to spend some of that money to help local governments, nonprofits, whomever, because otherwise it's not going to be until this winter, 6 months from now, that lawmakers come back in and could help craft such a package. Thank you, sir.
Yes, there have been thoughts about that. Legislators from the region have brought it up. We are very open to it. In fact, I think it's going to be needed. We've just been trying to, again, find everybody, account for everybody, have a cooling center, deal with the rain that's coming. But we're working on it right now. And we've only heard strong willingness from our legislators, both from the region and outside of it. I anticipate that's something that we'll need and that we will work out ahead of any special session, because you're right, we're going to need a package like the SAFE Act was, and we're going to need it in the months to come, if not sooner than that. Counties are already contracting. School districts are already contracting to clean up, to haul debris, and we need to be there for them. We can't let a school system go broke or a city or a county go broke because of the amount of time it may take for them to be reimbursed. Stan Ingold from WEKU with our last question.
Thank you, Governor. We've seen this massive outpouring of support and volunteers coming into the region. What is the best way for groups and individuals to coordinate with authorities to continue to ensure that things continue to move smoothly?
Well, first, if you're volunteering, make sure you have called before you show up, whether that's local emergency management. We're actually working on a part of this website where you can register, whether you're calling the state park to see if they need help or assistance. Just make sure that someone knows that you're coming and can put you to work. The other thing I'd say is we're going to need volunteers and help for a long time. So it's okay if others are volunteering right now and you're willing to volunteer next week or even next month. Now, the other thing that you can do is donate, water, cleaning supplies, or donate to one of the various funds that are out there. Obviously, I'm pretty focused on our Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund because it is a long-term fund. So we see it after every natural disaster. We saw it after the tornadoes. You have a ton of groups that come in that are on the ground and do amazing work, but they're there for a couple weeks because then someone else needs them, and we don't begrudge them for that. But this is a year, 2 years of work, and we're still paying out dollars from the Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund right now. I think $2.1 million's gone out to farmers for the challenges they faced 6 months after this. We've got $16 million from that fund going to build 300 homes. That happens 5 to 6 months after. So we'll also be reaching out to the other nonprofits, especially those based here in Kentucky, to make sure we're being thoughtful about having long-term support for these families. And I mean, these families have really lost everything. And it's hard, maybe if you haven't seen it, but it's hard for a lot of people maybe to even understand how bad it is. Imagine scratching and clawing for 10, 15 years to be able to have something you call a home, but it's not insured and it's wiped out, as is every other thing that you own. After all that work that you put in, maybe for your family, you're suddenly just there with the clothes on your back without an insurance company that's going to come in and say, we're going to help you rebuild. Some of these properties can't even get to because that access bridge that they bought the property with is gone. And people wondering, how are we ever going to recover from this? Whole neighborhoods gone, cars gone. Do check, though, on that comprehensive auto insurance. It is, repairing these lives is going to be challenging, but we're up for it. We didn't get through 2.5 years of a pandemic without being tough. So we are going to be creative. We're going to continue to work with folks. But going back to the question, people are going to need a lot of help. We're going to need more resources than have come in to this fund right now, 4 or 5 months from now. These are proud, hardworking folks that have just lost it all. And I think the least we can do as human beings, as people of faith and values, is to give and do what we can to get them back on their feet. I want to end just by saying thank you to everybody out there that is working. I know you're tired, so am I. If you're on the ground there, thank you for everything you've been doing. Do take care of yourself. Make sure you get some rest in this heat. Make sure you take breaks. I can understand wanting to be strong and just push through all of it, but we need you, and we're going to need you tomorrow, and we're going to need you the day after that. So when you need a break today, when you need some time for yourself, make sure you take it. And everybody out there, remember to lean on each other, to breathe when you need to, and we'll get through this. But the only way we get through it is together, not just in Eastern Kentucky, all of Kentucky, every single one of us. Thank you.